Alright, so now I'm here to talk about the remake of a cult classic that is The Crow. So, when talking about The Crow, you cannot separate The Crow from the passing of Brandon Lee. And whether you like the original or not, it's really hard to not call it a legacy. So, when there is an idea for a remake that comes along, I knew it since the beginning that it was a really tough shoes to fill, because the original had such significance in the pop culture. So here I am after watching the film telling you how I feel about it. Well, for starters, of course, I will start with the positives of this film, even though there isn't much positive points that this film has. But here we go. The first one is the casting of Bill Skarsgard. Even though he was not my top pick, I was open for this new version of this character. Because remember, this is a reboot and also a remake. So in my mind, the main objective is not to top the original, but to try to present new ideas, new version of this character, new version of this world. And how did they do with it? Well, first of all, with the casting, I know Bill Skarsgard was not my top pick for this character, but I can see him as the Crow, I can see him as Eric Draven, even though he was not the best. But the problem is, with his character, I think the writers here mishandled the character of Eric, because Eric here is portrayed as a weak person, and when there is something that's going on, he never jumps straight into the action like the original did. And I think that is a really minus point of this character. And I know it's very tough to, compare it to Brandon Lee. There's very tough spot for you to fill in with this new actor and reach the same heights as he did. So I don't have a lot of problems with the casting. I thought he was fine, but the characterization of Eric, that was the big problem. As I mentioned before, the Eric in the original is more of a straightforward hero, and in this film they try to ground Eric into this realistic world, and that makes him a little bit weak, and as a superhero film it really doesn't function well with his character. But also, the main problem with the characters here is also with the villain. The villain here is played by Danny Houston. Even though he is a great actor, the script didn't utilize him properly, because for the majority of this film, he really doesn't do anything except whispers weird crap to his victims, and that's that, because, they try to amplify this supernatural strength, supernatural power that this character has, but you do not really see this power. What is his power? What is his motivation? You do not know any of that whatsoever, because the villain here is very, very sidelined. And also, the main problem that this film suffers when you compare it to the original is the love story. The center of this version of The Crow is the love story, but in the original, the center of the story was Eric getting this revenge. And I do think for a film like this, a dark superhero film, they should have stuck with the revenge plot better than the love story. Because if you see here, the plot, the love story, it really steals the pacing. Because at the start of the film, to the 50-minute mark of this film, it really just Eric and Shelley developing their love story, and if it works well if the outcome is well. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't see it as a problem. But the thing is, with their love story, 15 minutes spent on the love story and the outcome is still bad. What I mean by that, they utilize this 15-minute runtime as just them hanging out, banging, and everything. That doesn't make a love story believable. That doesn't make a love story believable. And when they die, I really do not feel the significance of these two characters dying. I just want to see Eric gets his revenge, cool action sequences, and you really do not get that from the beginning to the 50-minute mark. And may I remind you, this film is only about 2 hours. So with that 50-minute mark right there, that means the rest of the movie, 1 hour and 10 minutes, is just gonna be action. That's what you hope, right? Well, the result is not that. You see, Eric here becomes the Crow twice. The first time, he really doesn't understand his powers, and then he dies again during a fight. And in the second time, he is back. He's resurrected, and he utilizes his power properly here. The thing is, when there is the second coming of the Crow of Eric, the movie is almost over. So what's left is a little bit of action sequences here and there, but not that much. You know what, guys? The only action sequence that stand out in this film is the opera fight scene near the end. But it is sadistic, it is violent, and I really like that fight scene. I would have liked more of that instead of them focusing on this love story so much, because I think that is not the main point of Crow. And with them shifting the main point of Crow from revenge to love story, it really hurts the pacing and the enjoyment terribly. So in the end, guys, I will give The Crow, the reboot of The Crow, a 4.5 out of 10. I really wanted this film to be good, but as I mentioned before, the pacing really hurts, the characters are quite underdeveloped, and there is one tiny little thing, if you watch the original Crow, the world building is dark, it is atmospheric, it fits the tone very well, because the world of the Crow is supposed to be dark, atmospheric, gritty, and in this modern version, the world is just your regular world, and I don't think that fits the tone of the Crow very well. That is the main problem. That is why I said grounding everything to reality doesn't always work. This is the prime example where that doesn't work. So this film, I would have liked a little bit more of action in it, which I really did not get. The characters are underdeveloped. The romance subplot really took a lot of time, a lot of development, which result to nothing. So in the end, I had my enjoyment, a little bit of enjoyment with this film, but I really wanted it to be more. If you have seen this remake of The Crow, tell me what you like, what you hate, and how does it compare to the original, the cult classic that is The Crow starring Brandon Lee. Tell me everything you have in your mind and drop it all in the comments. See you on the next video, guys.